Hi everyone, and thank you all for joining us today for this webinar, Create Geo-Driven Applications with SAP Lumira Designer and Galigeo. We are going to start right now. So I'm Vincent de Chandon, and I'm part of the product management team at Galigeo, and I will be guiding you through this webinar today. And just as a reminder, if you have questions, you can ask them using the question tabs in GoToWebinar, and we will take them at the end and answer most of them. And if we have no time to answer them all, we will get back to you offline or by mail after the webinar. So let's start right now. So just a quick state of the art before beginning. So as you all might know, there is Lumira is two main products, one being Lumira Discovery and the other one being Lumira Designer. So the webinar of today is going to focus more on Lumira Designer. So as you know, Lumira Discovery is not the solution of choice anymore of SAP for everything which is regarding self-service BI and agile data discovery. While with Lumira Designer, which is more control data interactions, custom application type of tool, this is still the SAP solution of choice. There is the 2.3 that is out since mid-April, if you did not see, which brings a lot of innovations and more stability to the product. And we have a clear roadmap, and we know the improvements that are going to be made throughout the years. And it's also to remind you that the two, Discovery and Designer, they have interoperability, but they also serve different use cases. And so you can use one and the other. It's not one or the other, and you can use the two together to address different use cases. So right now, the agenda, we are going to few slides, and then we are going to jump, of course, for I would say a product demonstration that will let you understand a little bit more about how to create geo-driven applications. So we are going to first see why you should create them, the core concept that lies behind geo-driven applications, product showcase. Then we are going to make an announcement regarding what we call the Geo-Driven program, and you will know more at the end of the webinar. And then we will end with the question and answer, the Q&A. So Lumira Designer is a tool that helps you create, that lets you create dashboards, applications, and that lets you put some custom logic, some custom behaviors inside it. So using the different scripting capabilities, that might seem, I would say, a little bit geeky at the beginning, but which is a really strong and powerful tool. You can create this custom logic into your applications. But the problem is that the geomapping capabilities that are native in SAP Lumira Designer, they are trivial. They are very limited, and they do not really help you into leveraging geomapping, geo capabilities within your applications and dashboards. But hopefully, Lumira Designer can be extended by solutions, third-party vendors like Galigeo, and we do provide geo-analytic solutions directly within SAP Lumira Designer and more generally within the whole SAP BI ecosystem. So why create geo-driven applications? The first thing that should come to your mind is that using maps and using, I would say, spatial, when you look at the data, it's something instinctive. We are all used to work with maps. When you look at the weather on the TV, when you book another car using your applications, etc., you all do that through a map. And yeah, this is something that is instinctive, and we are used to evolve into, I would say, into space every day. And so it's something that is really easy. And when you see a map, you get clear insight of what's going on way better than if you just look at a chart, at a table, etc., etc. Of course, it's business first. So creating map just for the sake of, I would say, colorizing polygons is something that is quite irrelevant. And maps, as I would say, a variety of options to let you represent the data the way you want and the way that is important for you. If you are looking at achievement, perhaps using flows mapping between origin and destination will be the way to go. If you are using for turnover, for revenue, combining coroplace and proportional symbols might be the way to go, etc. So there are several ways to present the data, and all of them serve the purpose of letting you understand your business use cases, how the business is evolving, and how it is, I would say, distributing across space. And the last one, of course, insight at a glance, and this is a little bit of what I've said already. When you look at the map, it's really easy to get the insight just by looking at it, and you do not need to dig, I would say, further, sometimes to just understand what is happening. If you are provided a bar chart, and the bar chart is just, for example, showing you the revenue by store, and you have two stores that have, I would say, bad revenue or not okay revenue. Okay, you know that these stores are not okay revenue, but where are they located? Are they close to each other? And you can't go further. By seeing that on the map, you could say, okay, these two stores, they are close to each other, and you could correlate that with the fact that a new competitors has also opened a store near those two stores, etc., etc. And this kind of insights that you can get instantly on the map, you can't get it with any other traditional chart or table, etc. So of course, everyone can use geo-driven applications. Everyone can use geo-analytics. It's for all the companies. It's for all the industries, for all the departments, etc., etc. So no matter if you work in insurance, if you are on the public transport, energy, oil and gas, etc., etc., there are, I would say, hundreds of use cases that requires to have, I would say, this geo-driven kind of applications in order for the users to really be able to answer to their questions and to fulfill their use cases. And you have some example there on the right, but yeah, all of them start from, I would say, locations to get insights and then to improve and make better actions and better decisions. So there we are just going to see three core concepts before jumping into the product showcase. So the first one is, I would say, when you want to create geo-driven applications, the map needs to be the centerpiece of the application. And by centerpiece, it does not need to mean that it needs to be the only component, but it needs to have a place of choice. And most of the time, it needs to, I would say, be the first thing that the user is going to see in order there, after that, to be able to manipulate it and then go more granular with charts, etc., etc. So what we see on the right, for example, on the screenshot, and this is something that we see a lot when we talk with customers and what we see, what they do when they're using, for example, native maps in Lumira Designer. Most of the time, the map is something really small that is placed on a corner of the applications, etc. And you just can't get anything out of it. Most of the time, they are just, for example, a lot of points overlapping each other, etc., etc. And it's just there, like to say, we have put a map and this is cool, but it gives absolutely no values. So this is not the way to go if you want to create geo-driven applications. But instead of that, you should have, I would say, a map that takes a lot of space into your application that gives clear insight just by looking at it. So remember that the map is something that is user-friendly. So the people, they know how to use them. They can manipulate it using the mouse, the different action controls on the map. And even if they're on the tablet or if they have touchscreen, they can just manipulate it with their hands like they would do by using Google Maps on their smartphone, etc., etc. So the high interactivity that the map offers you, because you can take several actions, you can click, you can pan, you can zoom, you can select, etc., etc., gives you a lot of way to, I would say, drive the behavior and the logic that you want to put in your applications. And it also, of course, as I've said earlier, gives you information at a glance. And if you, for example, take a look at this map, and if I ask you, for example, there are two shops that are not performing well, you can automatically know where they are, and you see that they are close to each other. So if you want there to add, I would say, more data, go more granular, then you know exactly where you have to focus. And you know exactly that maybe the fact that they are close to each other is a correlation of why they are underperforming, etc. The number two is that everything happens somewhere. So this is something that you probably already heard, that 90% of the data contained in your data sets, on your data marts, on your data lakes, etc., they contain spatial dimensions, so they can be put on the map. And it might I would say seem a little bit crazy to say, oh, do I have as many data? And the fact is that it is true. For example, you have addresses, you have information about zip codes, you have information about counties, about region, etc., etc. All of that can be put on the map, and of course, you can aggregate your different KPIs to the different levels regarding what you have in your data sets. So the map lets you overlay different sources of information and make sure that this is the only, I would say, visual component that lets you do that. If you want to, for example, create correlation between competitors and your stores, this is something that you can only do on the map. There is no other charts or table that would let you get such insights. And this is the same, for example, if you want to find correlation between location of crimes and places of events, for example, that have happened, you can only do that on the map, because using other chart won't give you information. So it helps you to understand the where factor. You can start with the base map, providing such information like restaurant, the name of the street, etc. You can add your own data, like you see there on the screenshot on the right on the laptop. So you can add, I don't know, your stores, your agencies, the incidents, whatever, and then you can add as many layers like that, and you can build your maps this way by correlating your data, external data, for example, coming from an Excel file. You can connect also to Open Data Portal that gives you a lot of information, which most of the time you do not have in your systems, like economics, socioeconomics, etc., etc. And you can even go further for some use cases by creating that with weather data, etc. So yeah, understanding the where factor by overlaying different sources of information is definitively something that helps you create a geo-driven application. And the last one there is that, and this is important to understand that, because a map alone is not enough. And we see a lot of customers or prospects that build applications with Galigeo and they only put a map. So the whole report is just a map. And for some use cases, it can be fine, but just understand that different charts and map included serve different purposes. So map will be good, of course, to answer some of the use case, to draw some of the correlations, to get insight, etc. But using bar charts, pie charts, I don't know, any kind of other charts can be good as well, as long as you use them correctly regarding the use case you try to understand. And of course, being able to link them all together, so when you make an action on one, it's reflecting on the other component, is something really important. And of course, for example, being able to select something from the map and cascade it to the other filter is something really good. But selecting something from a chart and cascading to the map and other components is good as well. So this is why we wrote bidirectionality. The map can be used to explore the data and to filter them, to make selection based on spatial calculations, in order, for example, to get more granular or to have more information on something using a chart that is just near the map, etc., etc. And it helps you to go from what or from which to where, and vice versa, and to understand, okay, this happened there, why, or it has happened, and where does it has happened. Okay, guys, so right now we are going to jump directly into the showcase of this webinar. So I'm going to show you different applications that I've been creating using Galigeo and Lumira Designer with different use cases, in order to help you get a better feeling about what you can do with the product and how easy it is to use it as well. And before that, just a quick poll that I'm going to show right there. So it's just some questions before I load the demonstration that you can answer directly using GoToWebinar, and it will help us also to understand more about for each of you, which are your use cases, are you running current projects, etc., etc. So I'm just going to start it right there. So you should see it. You can just click there directly. And yes, and with the demonstration will be loaded, we are going to jump into the showcase. Okay, so just 10 more seconds for you to get to answer the questions, and then we are going to jump into the presentations. Okay, guys, so that's it. And if you had not enough time to answer, feel free also to just send us a mail after the webinar to give us your opinion and to answer the question that was asked. Okay, so now we are back on track with the applications. So everything that I'm going to show right there has been built with Lumira Designer. There is, I would say, no custom, and of course it's using Galigeo for Lumira Designer. So the first thing to notice there is that when I open my application, it asks me to select something in order to get the data. And using a map as a selector to select the data is something really cool. For example, I've seen a lot of applications where the user is prompted to select a zip code, and he has a list of 100 zip codes. But I mean, zip code is just 5-digit numbers. And unless you know them by heart, I would say this is completely useless because you won't really be able to know what zip code you need to select there. While using a maps, you can directly have some KPI, some information that lets you, I would say, already select the right places to go into, go more granular and manipulate the data. So there it's telling me to select a state, and this state has been set. So it's logistic use cases. This state, there is plants in the state that has been sending package shipments here and there, etc. And so there I can compare the volume, etc., between the different states. For example, see that the one from the Nevada, this is where the volume is the lowest, and perhaps I want to work on that. So I'm going to just click directly on the Nevada, and it's going to opening me, I would say, new pages where I have there way more informations about the shipments coming from the Nevada. So first, there what I see is I have my plant and I have the different zip codes represented as points there on which the shipment has been made. I have my legend, of course. I can check there the volume, and in order to say, okay, perhaps I want to check this one because the volume was the highest, or this one because the volume was the lowest, etc. You can just highlight and so the different information just by highlighting and hovering your mouse over the map, etc. And below, I have another map there which shows more there the shipments that has been sent to the different, I would say, wholesaler. Then they have been sold to customers, and there I have more information. For example, I have the delay, and I know if the shipment was made on time or not, etc. So if I zoom in a bit, there you can see that you have big red dots, which are, I would say, the wholesaler, and you have small green points, which are the customers. And when you can see there on the legend, there are color code that have been applied. So when it's green, that means everything was on time. When it's orange, it was almost out of time, and when it's red, that means that it was not okay in terms of timing, and the delivery was late, etc. I can have also a global trend there using a heat map, another way to represent the data. When I have a lot of points, as you can see there, you have on the map a lot of things. Sometimes you have flows that are quite overlapping each other, etc. There I can get a trend about the different shipments, and on the heat map, the redder it is, that means the more shipment has been made into these areas, etc. And then I have, I would say, other charts. I can have, for example, this one that give me the volume by zip codes. I have a table as well, etc. So of course, it's what I've said earlier. The map in itself is not enough, and you have to combine it with other kind of dashboards and components. Visual components that give you other information that perhaps you do not see on the maps, to help you have, I would say, a complete overview about the data and the use case there. For example, there, what I have is a button, and the button is going to perform a filter on the map directly and show me only the shipments that were late and that were not made on time. So I'm just going to click, and automatically it has filtered me the data, and now I only see them. And what is really good is that now I can only focus, for example, on the different customers that were impacted by that. And I can see, for example, that a lot of them, the wholesalers in Chicago, there have been a lot of problems with the different customers and the different shipments, etc. So what I could do right now, for example, is open another window there, show customers, and it's going to show me only the customers filtered by the one that received the package late, etc. And I can also get a trends of the volumes that were sent to them, etc. So I can see, for example, the biggest there, so one near Cleveland, etc. And I can click on them, and I have a custom actions that you can configure directly using Galigeo, and that lets you perform actions that goes, I would say, beyond data, beyond BI, and go more into, yes, the kind of custom applications when you can not only see, analyze the data, but you can also directly make actions directly within the application. What I could do, for example, is I could call the reseller. So, for example, if you have a phone number and if you have Skype installed on your laptop, calling Skype directly through the application is something that it's just a matter of one line of script, and it's really something really easy to do. And when I showcase that, most of the time the customer there, wow, you can do that, and I'm like, yes, you can do that, and it's quite easy to do. It's not something that requires a lot of configuration. You just need to have Skype installed, and then you can call Skype using your browser. And of course, if you have the phone number of the persons directly within your data, you can call this phone number directly. So I could call him. Okay, and he would tell me it was late because I don't know, there was a lot of snow, and I can understand more why it was late. And he can just say, okay, this is the first time this month that the shipment is not made on time, etc. When I have that, I could also, after the call, click on add a note. There it opens me something here. I have the ID of the shipping, and I can, for example, the shipping was late, the shipment was late because XXX. I can give the reason, etc. And if I click there on OK, it can write back what I wrote, so the comments directly into my database. And so it keeps, I would say, track about what I'm going to write. So it's not only for me. And if in 1 month I'm going back into this application, I see that there is still problem with this person, I know I can check the notes that I have written and understand, okay, I had an action to make and I did not make it, or I asked someone to make an action and I need to check if he did it, etc. So it goes just beyond data analysis, and you can really there, as you can see, put some custom behaviors directly within the product, etc. And then when I'm done, I can just close it and go back there, and I could, for example, select another state by opening back the state, my state window, and for example, there select Oregon, I don't know, and go back there into the same, etc., etc. So you can see that, for example, everything coming from Oregon, there are clear less problem because only 3 shipments has been late, etc. While the one coming from Nevada, there were more problems. And so there you have a feeling about what an application can look like and how you can make different windows for different purposes, and you can have a map on each of them to have different informations and regarding what is important for you. And when you have done that, of course, you can also export that to Excel if you need to go into more traditional reporting. You can export to Excel only the data that you have filtered using the maps. So for this demonstration, the purpose was just to show you, of course, that you can create visualization that is important for you, in this case, the flows or the heat map. And then you can use this visualization in order to click, to make actions, and to understand more what is happening with your business. I'm going to switch to another demonstration that I've opened already, and that will just help me to showcase also where we want to bring this product. So Galigeo is for us, it's not a database tool. It's just not a tool where you are going to put your points, your polygons. You are going to colorize them, and then you will be fine with this visualization. Of course, you can do that, but you can go also way beyond. For example, you can create time series, and probably you already have noticed this feature, because I'm guessing most of you already have tested Galigeo, or at least see some videos, etc. So you can animate this data through time, etc. And one thing that we offered for a long time as well was the possibility to select data based on some shapes that you would draw on the map, based on distance. So you could say, okay, extract me all the data, for example, that are within a 10 miles radius from a given point. And this is something that you would have to do manually. So you will need to select, for example, there the ISO distance, to select there the number of kilometers or miles that you wanted to apply, then to click on the map, then it would select you the data, etc., etc. But it was not, it was something to do manually. It was not really automatized. And we had some customers by talking with them, etc., and trying to understand what they would like to do with the product, what was their use cases. We figured out that most of the time what they would like to do is this kind of things. So the possibility to extract data based on spatial filter, but automatically. So not just by having to click. For example, I had a customer that is working in the telecom industry, and he wanted to, for example, know all the customers that were within a 30 miles radius from all the antenna that he has in a specific city to see the coverage. And he had to click on each antenna manually to extract all the people, and he had hundreds of antennas, so it was really painful for him. Even if we were successful answering his use case, it was not the best user experience. And so we are currently working into automatizing this kind of features. And I'm going to give you an example right there. So what we see there on the map is just crimes that have happened. So it's on specific district of Paris. So if I zoom in a bit, what you see is that I have points. So the points are all the different crimes, so different facts that have happened in the past 2 weeks, and they are segmented by type. You also have the buildings, and for each building, you have the size of the buildings. So the redder it is, the highest is the building, and it can also understand that, for example, if you have high buildings, you have less or more chance to have incident happening nearby, etc. And you could also bring, for example, the restaurants in order to see if you have, of course, more incident near restaurants or near bars, etc., etc. But what was really interesting for this use case is that we have plugged the map to an open data portal of the city of Paris that is giving us information about the events to come. So I don't know, a football match, a soccer match, a concert from I don't know anyone, etc. And so this is available through open data. And this is what you see. This is the pin, the different pin, the blue pin you see there on the map. And for example, the use case there was I want to extract all the past incidents that have happened near these different events, and I want to see if there are a correlation with that or not. With the old methods, what you would need to do is go there, select the distance, select the values, and click, click, click. There you have only 3, so that's fine. But if you have 100 of them, it's you are not going to do that. And so we are working on automatizing this. And so there you can create custom, I would say, panel with Lumira Designer, and then you are going to call a script of Galigeo that is going to perform the selection for you. So there you select, for example, select all crimes. So this is my crimes layer that you see on the map. Within, I don't know, let's say 400 meters, so 0.4 kilometers. I could pick miles as well for the demonstration. And from the events, so my other layer, which will not be the events, and I'm going to run that, and automatically you see it's going to select me. So it's creating the radius, and it's going to select. It has selected me all the crimes happening near these events. And of course, it has filtered. I don't know if you saw that, but it has filtered the charts there, and this one as well. And so there you see the bidirectionality combined to the spatial filter mechanism that helps you, for example, understand more. There go more granular with the charts, and understand, for example, on some weeks that are close by, there have been more incidents, and you have, and then you can go deeper on these specific weeks, really to understand what have happened. And for example, okay, I'm saying, okay, this one, the crimes were higher than the usual. I can click, and automatically it's going to filter me the map only with the different crimes, and I can see 2 of them that have happened really nearby, so I can find correlation this way, etc. And if I'm not happy with the radius I've chosen, of course, I can choose another one and say, okay, instead of what if I choose 1 kilometer? Okay, 1 kilometer is too big, it covers too much. Okay, what if I select only 0.1? Okay, there it only selected me one crimes. That means that I would say within just 100 meters radius, there is not much incident to be feared, because most of the time where there are events, there are policemen that are near the event, etc. So if there are problems, they are not happening just nearby, they are happening at 200 meters, 300 meters, or miles, etc., etc. So we can get this kind of informations really quickly using this kind of tool. And of course, behind the scene is just scripting that is triggered. And there, this is custom, so this is, you are not forced to go this way, and you could, instead of within, it could be without. So select me everything that is not within this radius, etc. And just a matter of what you want to do with the product, because using the scripting, you can really do basically what you want. Okay, right now I'm going to switch to the third demonstration, and this one will take place directly in the designer. So I know that Lumira Designer is not the best thing to showcase because it's geeky, let's be honest, etc. But it's also a really powerful interface when you can really do advanced manipulation of data and advanced creation of applications, when you can really be pixel perfect, create multiple pages, as you have shown in the first demonstration. You can have multiple windows, or you can even open reports from reports, etc., etc. So you can really create applications. You can deploy that on your iPad as well and put it in production for the person in mobility. So there I've just created a standard charts, and I've created a map. So the map is blank for the time being, and it's just to show you how easy it is to create the maps. So my purpose there is to create a map that is going to show me my stores, and we're going to show also the turnover by stores. Okay, that will be the first step, and then to create an interaction with this chart. So when I just move on the map, it automatically filters the charts. And you might think, okay, how does it work? Because most of the time you need first to select data from something in order to pass that and filter other charts. But with the map, you can just say, okay, when I zoom, when I pan, it automatically filters the charts based on what I see on the map. And you can, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to do that with Galigeo. So there I am in the interface of Galigeo. I've created my first layers. There I just have to pick the longitude. So this is my data. For the demonstration, I only have 4 dimensions. Let's pick the longitude, then the latitude, and automatically on the map I'm going to, oh sorry, I missed. And I'm going to see automatically the points happening on the map. So I see my different shops right there. I want to apply the turnover. Okay, that's fine. By default, this is my simple visualizations. Let's go back to, let's switch, for example, to the class breaks one, pick the turnover. Okay, boom, automatically I have my turnover. I'm not happy with the color. I don't know, I want that from from green to blue. Okay, I click and it's going from green to blue. I want that to be a little bit transparent. I can play on the transparencies right there. Okay, that's fine. You see how easy it is to create this kind of visualization. Of course, it's only points, but if you need also to plot polygons, custom layers, custom geodata, data coming from S3, etc., it's as easy as creating X and Y layer. Now let's create the interaction. How can I make sure that when I move the map, it's going to filter the charts? Of course, it's a little bit of scripting, but you can see that it's something really easy. Galigeo allows you to trigger a script when, for example, you move or you zoom on the map, and you have many other actions. It can be a script when I click on something. It can be a script when I click on the button that is appearing on the pop-up when I click on something on the map, etc. So I'm just going to go there on zoom move, and I'm just going to write a quick script. For example, there it will be get property values in extent. So you see that the maps provide a lot of APIs, so a lot of scripting implementations. So this one, it is going to select me only the values, so the data from the points I'm seeing currently on the extent. So the extent is only what you see on the map. Okay, I'm going just to store that as values, and then, okay, I'm just going to perform a filter on the data source, which is bound to the charts. Okay, and I'm going to say, okay, filter by name, and there use the values that I'm going to provide using these scripting methods. Okay, so it's just 2 lines. You see, it's quite easy to do that. Let's save and launch the application. And right now, so you see there you have only the data. If I zoom on a specific place, you see that automatically the chart is filtered. And for example, if I see only 1 point, you see only one thing there. I see 5 of them, 6 of them, and you see how easy it is to create such interaction. And it's quite smooth. You see when I move the map, the time of refreshing is something that is really quick, etc. Because all the data handling is still done by SAP Lumira Designer. But you see that with scripting, you can really create a powerful behavior that lets you create the kind of applications you want. And this was just an example. And of course, I can't showcase all the different kind of interactions that you can create between the maps and the charts, or the charts and the maps, or what you can do just with the maps, etc. Because there are hundreds of them, so it would take more, I would say, too much time. But it's just to, I would say, put in your mind that Galigeo offers, of course, a lot of way of creating the layers, connecting to S3, reading data from no matter where they come from ANA, from BW, from Excel files, etc., etc. Create time series, read hierarchies in order to be able to drill down, to drill up, etc., create custom actions. But it's also, for Lumira Designer, offers a lot of scripting methods that lets you, I would say, select how you want the map to behave. If you do not want to be able to filter other charts, then you can just, okay, you are fine with that. If you wanted to select charts, when you click, you can define that. If you want to filter charts when you just zoom and pan, like you have seen there, you can do that as well. If you want to be able, for example, to perform spatial queries, like I've shown in the other demonstration, you can do that. So you have a lot of options in order to make sure that the map is not just a data viz. It's just not something where you see points, etc. But you can also use that as an application tools that lets you extract data, yes, based on distance, on drive time, on attributes, etc., etc. Okay, this will be it for the demonstration. I see that we have about 10 minutes left, so we are just going to switch back to the PowerPoints and just finish by the last bullet of the agenda, and then go to the different questions. So what we want to launch, to start really quick, is what we call the Geo-Driven program. So of course, this webinar gives you some keys about how to create Geo-Driven applications and why it is important. But right now, if you want to go further, of course, you need to get the product between your hands. You need to play with it. You need to think about what you want to do with it. What are the use cases you want to leverage, and then how the map can help you leverage it. And we know that and especially because scripting is something that there are people that are not really happy with scripting. They find it too geeky. But I think that it's not that easy to manipulate, and it's something really, really powerful. But we know that sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming to begin, and you do not especially know where you have to begin, etc., etc. So we are going to introduce a program where we are going to give you the different keys to learn step by step how you can create these kind of applications using Galigeo for Lumira Designer. So of course, like I would say, everything we do in terms of programs, marketing, etc., everything is free. It will be free, so you will just need to register, and you will access the different resources that will help you create applications, and it will be guided. So the first one will be, for example, choosing the right data, importing your own geo data, create a basic interactions, go into more granular with more complex interactions, etc., etc. And everything will be guided. We will be providing data, geo data, for you to train and then apply that with your own data. So we plan to release that in Q3, so around this summer. So really quickly, just the time for us here to finish it and to make sure that it will be really helpful for our different customers and prospects. But anyway, yes, you can you will be reminded with a mail and when this will be out, and of course we'll be glad for you to join us with this program and into the Geo-Analytics family. So just a quick point. Galigeo is a complete and consistent Geo-Analytics suite for SAP BI. So we provide, for the time being, I would say, an extension, which is the same, technically speaking, into the different products for the SAP BI suite. So of course, we have Web Intelligence, we have Lumira Designer, that I have showcased today. And for these two products, you can have a 30 days free trial if you go to our website and download the free trials. For Lumira Discovery, Lumira Discovery is not available for free. This is no, sorry, not Lumira Discovery. Galigeo for Lumira Discovery is not available for free. So you can just go as well to our website, download it, and so you can just use it without any time limitations. And the last one, I think it was worth mentioning, is the Galigeo API. So it's the Galigeo technology, but you can embed it everywhere. So I'm not going into too technical details, but we have seen a lot of customers that were using Galigeo into SAP, but that also needs in, for example, custom portals to expose some geodata, etc. And they say, okay, you have the Galigeo technology and you are happy with it. So why are we developing something custom for your custom portal? You can just take all the Galigeo technologies and integrate it really quickly into your custom portal. And this is done through the Galigeo API, which is something where you are just in terms of development to integrate some REST APIs in order to get all the powers of Galigeo, but wherever you want. Okay, guys, so it's the Q&A time. I think we are on time, so let's pick the different questions right now. I'm just going to open that. So yeah, Benjamin, can you select the different questions, and we'll be able to answer them.
Yes. Hi everyone. Thank you for your question. There are still a lot coming in. We won't be able to go through all of them, but the one that we cannot address right now, we'll answer to you by email. So the first one about script interaction. You mentioned that you could have some script interaction with Skype. Is it possible to interact with any other application through the scripting method that you talked about?
So the answer is yes, and it's not only depending on Lumira Designer or Galigeo, it's also depending on what your browser. So in this case, I was using Google Chrome, is able to do. And for example, you can open Skype. So you can open Skype in your browser by just calling, I would say, like opening a new page, but by calling some specific, I would say, string in order to ask the browser to open Skype. So you can do that. And of course, you can use other application. If it's WhatsApp, it works as well, etc. So yes, you can. It really depends on the applications and what is allowed as well in your companies. But you can, definitively, for example, go with something else than Skype. Or something that I did not mention as well is, okay, Skype is fine, but for example, you also have, for example, sometimes intranet. You have a lot of information. You can open intranet pages. Specific pages based on, for example, data that you would have extract from the map to have more details, and sometimes details that are not available directly in your databases. This is something that is definitively also possible.
Okay. Then we have a question on data import and export. So you talked about enriching the SAP product with geomapping, but where does the data come from, and what can you do with it afterward in terms of import export?
So good questions. So the way it works is that Galigeo is not directly manipulating the data. So all the security models that I would say is handling the data, etc., is handled directly by Lumira Designer. So for Galigeo, it's transparent. So all the data are processed by SAP Lumira Designer, the aggregation, etc., and Galigeo, and then Lumira push the data to Galigeo, and you can manipulate them on the map. But this is really cool because that means that at no point the data is going to be stored on the Galigeo side. And if you modify something on BI, automatically the data, the changes will be reflected also on the map as well. In terms of exporting, what you can do is different kind of exporting. So you have the Excel ones, of course. For example, you can perform a filter on the map and then export only the filtered data in Excel using the standard scripting methods of Lumira Designer. And you can also export to PDF. So when you export to PDF, you will have the map not specifically as you see it right now, but as it was originally when you loaded the report. You can also just export the map in itself. If you want just to print the map and not the rest of the report, etc., you can do that as well. But yeah, the main thing that I would like here to emphasize is that no data, I would say, comes out of Galigeo, or Galigeo stores no data. And even if you are connected to an S3 server to get the geodata, Galigeo is not going to store the result of the S3 server, and the geodata will still be handled directly within S3.
Thank you, Vincent. I see another question, and I know that the answer is linked to what you just said. about the behavior of the map towards different persona. Like how would the map behave in terms of if you're a sales director opening a report, if you're I don't know a marketing specialist or a BI analyst, will all of them see the same thing, or how can we, I would say, make sure that the data has some sort of security?
Yeah. So yeah, I have already, I would say, answered the half of the questions with my previous answer. So yes, the way it works is that, as I've said, Lumira Designer is handling the data. So every security roles, right, that you have defined on the Lumira side or on the even the BO platform, it is going to apply to the map as well. So if you have you are the IT guy and you configure the map, okay, you have access to all the data, you configure the maps, etc. And let's say that it's on all across the US, you have data for all the states. But then you have some director, but this director only can only see the data from Texas because this is what you have configured in the SAP side. Then on the map, it will only see the Texas data and not the other one. And you do not need to configure something; it works out of the box because this is just the standard behavior of Galigeo. And because of the fact that we really try to stick with the Lumira Designer philosophy and I would say and technology, and so you just need to install the extension within Lumira Designer. It's a matter of 5 minutes, and then it's like it was native in Lumira Designer. It's the same for Webby, for Lumira Discovery, etc. You can just pick the map from the component list, like if it was always there, and you can resize it, and it behaves exactly like any other component. So there is no worries to have about data confidentiality, security, etc.
Okay, it seems clear. Thank you. Then we have a question about the data, and I mean, I'm guessing that the geospatial data. You talked about adding some data like boundaries, states, or a railroad, something like that to the product. But some folk are asking, where do you find those data, and can we help finding the data and adding it in the product?
Yeah, so we did not really focus into geodata for this call because it was not for this webinar, it was not the purpose. But yeah, in terms of the way you can import geodata and use geodata in Galigeo, it's something that is quite easy. And because we know that most of our users are not really experienced with geomapping, with geodata, etc., we try to make that as simple as possible for them. So by default, we provide a catalog of data, a catalog of geodata. So if what you want to display is a turnover by zip code for the US, we provide that by default. If it's by Canadian provinces, by, I don't know, German Bundesländer, we provide all of that by default. And then if you want to go more granular, for example, if you want to import your own railways for given countries, of course, this is not something that we are going to provide by default. But if you have this data already available from your end in the GIS system, like S3, or even if you have them directly on your laptop as a static file, you can import that in the product. You can connect to the services in the product and use it like any other kind of geodata sources. And like if it was, I would say, a default geodata in the product. And then you can basically put whatever you want on the map, if it's roads, if it's incidents, if it's railways, pipelines, antenna, I don't know. Anything that you want to see on the map can be displayed on the map. And if you're looking for more geodata that you do not have, so you want to see something, but you do not have them and you do not really know where to find them, of course, we can help you to find them and to see. Sometimes the geodata is just not free and you have to pay for them. But yeah, Galigeo can help you as well select the best vendors, etc., etc. And yeah, and you can also look for open data portal. Nowadays, I would say all big countries, they offer open data portals with a lot of, I would say, free data to use, and a lot of them can be put on the map. And it's also a great way to enrich visualizations and maps with external data that can be plotted on the map, and that brings, I would say, even more values to the different analysis you create.
Okay. And maybe one last question,
yep.
And because it's almost time, and this question is time related.
Okay.
How long does it take between the first time you download your product and the first map that you create?
I would like, yeah, I would happy to say it takes 2 minutes, but it would be a bit too enthusiastic there. So it really depends on your knowledge and what you want to do on the map as well. But really, it can be really fast. So just installing the product is a matter of 5 minutes, and getting started with the product is also something really easy. And we are, I would say, always working on creating tutorials, get started guides, etc., etc. But for example, if you have latitude, longitude into your BI data sets, in 1 minute you can create your maps, plot your KPIs, and create interactions exactly like I've did live during the third demonstrations. This is something, yeah, it's a matter of 2 minutes. And if you want to create, I would say, more complete maps with really custom interactions that you have thought about, importing different layers, connect to open data portal, etc. Perhaps it will take you 1 hour, 2 hours in order to really have the right map, the meaningful map that you wanted to have. But overall, it's quite easy. And the one thing to remember is that you do not need to be experienced with geomapping. Even if you have never made geomapping in your life before that, you can create maps really easy because all the complex, I would say, stuff is abstracted by Galigeo and by what we call the smart mapping engine. And so you can just really focus on what you want to see on the map and how you want how you want it displayed, and then add some scripting in order to create the interactions.
Thank you, Vincent. And I think that's about time. Sorry for all the questions that we couldn't address, and we'll answer by email. If any of you have any question, don't hesitate to email us or to contact us for any sort of demonstration or some specific question on how to use a specific feature on the product or how to solve an issue. That's it for me. Thank you very much for your attention, and talk to you next time.
Yeah, thanks, Benjamin. One last thing, just before the webinar ends, you will also be prompted as well with another poll that is more there, what you thought about the webinar, and to help us, I would say, improve what we show in the future, because of course your opinions matters, and no matter if you are customer, prospect, partners, etc., getting your feedback is something that is really always important for us, and that helps us, I would say, improve the product over the releases. So thank you, guys. Do not hesitate to send us mails if you have more questions. To anyone which we will not have not been able to answer the question, we will send you them offline by mail. And yeah, you will receive the webinar links in the next few days if you want to share that with your colleagues and or we watch it. So thank you, guys. Have a nice day. Thank you.